Hello, Hiring Committee. My name is Michael Cravens. I'd like to start by thanking you for taking the time to view my short presentation. A couple things right off the bat before I get started. Normally a program like this, I would like a lot of back and forth with the audience, even passing things around so people can get hand-on experience with some of these items I have up here. Also, if you don't mind, for the sake of this presentation, let's pretend this is not a mule deer, but rather a whitetail. Being out here in the Sonoran Desert, I just didn't have good access to a whitetail. So, with that, my program is called the Scoop on Skulls. And as you can see, I brought a number of organisms here. One thing some of you might already know is there's a lot that you can tell about an organism or a species just by giving its skull a good close look. All of the animals here are native to Missouri, most of which can easily be found awesome. All right. Now, he's set up very similar to the raccoon in a lot of ways. He's an omnivore. He's got a lot of the same teeth, a lot of the same features anyway. Now, one thing that separates an opossum from all other North American mammals is opossums have more teeth than any other mammal in our country. Also, different than the raccoon. See the back of the skull here? The raccoon's nice and smooth. The raccoon, they're a bit faster, they're a bit clever, big brain case, small brain case. Possums are a little slower, both mentally and physically. Now, one way he makes up for that small brain, that being a little slower, is this big heavy keel. This big heavy keel is for muscle attachment that attaches directly to the jaws, attaches to that keel. That gives this guy a very powerful chomp, okay? So possums, they just kind of make their living going around just chomping things up. A lot of teeth, big powerful jaws. Now he'll eat grubs, he'll eat worms, he'll eat roots, he'll eat all matters of vegetation. He'll eat other mammals if he can get a hold of them, mice, birds. Yeah, he'll take just about anything, and he is set up to do it. I mean, what he can't catch, he makes up for with just sheer will and chomping power. All right, moving on. Now let's talk about this guy. This is an insectivore, and this is a very unique and interesting skull. Now he's missing his lower mandible, his jaw, and he's also missing all these teeth. Now if he had all these teeth, you would see that they're just blunt little teeth. Okay, these teeth are made for eating insects. All right, and this skull, is very, very solid skull. This very solid skull is made for pushing earth, digging up grubs, digging up insects. This is the nine-banded armadillo. Nine-banded armadillos are getting very common in Missouri. In fact, they are common throughout the southern half of the state. They've been making their way north all the way from Central and South America for many years now and are very well established in southern Missouri. The only limiting factor on these guys is frozen ground. If the ground freezes too much, they can't dig up their food. That's what limits their range heading north. Very neat animal. All right, moving on. Here we have a cottontail rabbit, eastern cottontail. Now, this guy is made specifically for eating vegetation. He's an herbivore. He's got these front incisors for nipping off blades of grass, and if he had them in the skull, you would see all these molars back here, and those molars are for grinding up that vegetation. All right, strictly an herbivore. All right, let's have a look at this one here. Most people might think, well, that's just a mouse, but no, it's not. This is a shrew. Shrews are extremely successful carnivores, voracious predators. They catch and eat animals twice their size, and they do it a lot. Now, I know this is far away, but if you could see here, you can see all these teeth are very, very sharp. Very sharp. Made for catching and killing prey. And they're very good at it. Voracious predators, once again. If you saw them crawling around in the grass, you'd think it was a mouse. And of course, it's harmless to you, but to another mouse, maybe even a chipmunk, larger animals in itself, it can still be a very dangerous predator. All right. Now, here is something a bit different. This guy has no teeth at all. Only the sharp bill. All right. This is a fish eater, and he'll take other carrion animals that he finds already dead, but primarily fish. All right, just like the opossum, he has this big, heavy keel back here. And if you look here, has these big open spaces. That's all muscle attachment. This is the common snapping turtle. Common snapping turtles are very well known for a powerful bite. Now, common snapping turtles don't want to bite you. They use that powerful bite for catching fish and biting off chunks of meat. They will bite in defense, but only if you're messing with them. You don't have to worry about these guys wading in the creek. You don't have to worry about these guys going swimming in a stream or a pond. All you have to do is worry about them is if you go messing with them. Very powerful bite again. All that muscle attachment there. This guy can reach out, grab a fish, and take a chunk off like it's nothing. All right. A similar method of eating is this here. What do you think a bill like that is for? Again, that's for ripping and tearing flesh. This is a red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed hawks will use that bill to attack, kill, and then tear off chunks of meat to swallow it down whole. Very similar to the common snapping turtle here. But not all birds eat like that, of course. This bird here is a great blue heron. Great blue herons make their living by wading around in shallow waters. They'll spot a fish or a frog, take that bill, partially open, stab, impale a fish, flip it up, swallow it whole. And they have got a perfect bill for a job like that, do they not? Perfect. Now, this little bitty tiny thing, I bet most of you could tell me what that is. And that is indeed a hummingbird. Not only does a hummingbird have that long bill, but it also is equipped with a very long tongue for getting deep within flowers to get the nectar out. So, yes, hummingbirds are primarily herbivores, but they also eat insects as well. But again, that bill is designed for nectar. Okay, over here, another common animal you'll still see here in the park, the white-tailed deer. Now, this guy, if he had the rest of his skull, you could see he's got all molars down here. The lower mandible or jaw would come up here. He'd have incisors there for nipping off buds from trees, cutting off grass, and then these powerful molars back here for grinding all that up. Again, an herbivore, they'll eat all manners of vegetation, baby trees. Unfortunately, the flowers and vegetables in our gardens, which can cause problems with homeowners. Very common, do very, very well along edge habitat. That's why we see them around our towns and near roads. Again, very common in the park, and I hope you get to see some before you go back home. And finally, let's go with another primarily herbivore, but also could very well be considered an omnivore. This is the feral hog. Different than a domestic hog, or a hog being raised by people on a farm, is a very elongate snout, or she, I should say in this case. Very elongate snout. That snout is used for, again, rooting up vegetables, rooting up acorns, rooting up animals. These guys, they'll eat primarily anything they can get a hold of. This is one reason they're a very destructive invasive species on our ecosystems here in Missouri. These guys have always been in Missouri, basically since the Civil War days, but have just in the past 10 years or so gotten a very strong hold in Missouri, and their numbers have gotten a little out of hand. State Parks is working with other organizations to help eradicate these animals from our ecosystem because of the damage they can do to them. They'll eat anything. They'll flip rocks, they'll eat snakes and lizards, they'll eat bird nests, they compete with deer and turkey for acorns. Fascinating animal on their own right, but not good for our environment. So, I hope, having looked at all these skulls, that it is clear that by just having a good close look at some of the features of a skull, there is a great deal that you can tell about an organism or a species and the way that species makes its living. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation, and I look forward to speaking with you.